Hi, Jeremy. This was an open reflection, so you could talk about anything. You did a great job. You talked about that in your first administrative role, how interesting it is with the ups and downs. And yep, I think that's probably a polite way of explaining the process you go through, because it definitely is a learning curve. And there's not a whole lot that can really be done to get you through it. It really is. You just have to be out in the field. I really appreciate that UNCW, we do a full year of internship. A lot of the other universities don't do that. And I think that we can't teach you in a classroom what you need to learn. And that year in the field definitely does it. So you talked about instructional leaders. Instructional leader needs work. And I think that's probably a challenge for most people. I think that the managerial side is normally very easy because most people that go into administration are highly organized and very competent. And I think that if you're being an instructional leader in areas that you're not familiar with, that can be a challenge. But if you start going back to the idea of what leadership is, I thoroughly believe that you can take anyone that's a great leader, drop them into any business, any school, any district, any industry, and they can be successful because they have skill set, a toolbox of skills that get them through it. So think of the same thing as far as an instructional leader. It's not so much knowing the content, it's having that skill set to maneuver in that different environment. I wrote down, again, good reflection, and I think you said, I believe I can be a great leader. I build relationships, followers. Oh, you talked about followers. I love that because nobody ever talks about followers. There's a really cool video that's actually just about followers where a guy goes out in the field and it says you can't be a leader without followers. And there's this guy goes out and he dances really wild and crazy. And it's like like hippie commune. Like it reminded me of the 60s. From my childhood, but anyway, he's dancing really crazy and he's all by himself and he just looks like a nut. Well, then somebody else comes along and they dance with him. So now there's two of them. So now the leader has a follower, but only one follower doesn't really give you a lot of credibility. And the next thing you know, somebody else joins. And the whole series is that eventually almost everybody that was sitting on the grass in this field gets up and starts dancing with this guy, to the point where people that didn't want to are now forced to because the norm has moved in that direction. And you look bad if you don't do it. And the whole concept is how incredible leadership is. And that's what leadership is. It's inspiring people to want to follow you. And that's what great leaders do. They motivate people to get up off the grass and go do what they need to do, whether it's just doing the right thing in the classroom or whether it's, following along with some crazy dance. But followers must respect and want to follow your lead. And that's exactly right. I think that video, it's old. It's probably not even available on YouTube. But I think if you just click in followers video, it might come up. And it's just like a guy standing in a field. It's worth watching. But not only do you build relationships, a great leader builds relationships with the followers, but you also have to do that with students, because in some sense, they're supposed to be following the teacher and the teacher's following you. But if the teacher isn't doing their job, then the students are going to bypass that and look at you. So you got to make sure that you are modeling that. You talked about you really want to understand why your students get in trouble. And it's a challenge, but it's very important to you. And it is important because if you find out what's caused them to get in trouble, then you have an opportunity to stop it, to make it not happen again. So I thought that was commendable. I thought your reflection was very sincere, very heartfelt, and I really, really enjoyed it very much. I felt like that we're actually probably getting into those layers that I really wanted to with these videos, that we're finally getting there. And I thought you mirrored that very well today. So anyway, thank you. Thank you for sharing.